Welcome, everyone. Welcome back to Road to Eleusis. Again, I am Brennan Grace. I will be your host for tonight. I am the festival director for the Mysteries this year, and I am so excited to bring to you tonight the temples of Hekate and Hades. Woo! So, we are going to start off with our Temple of Hekate. Hekate is the goddess of magic, the goddess of crossroads, of herbs, and I am sure our wonderful vessels will tell us way more about that. So don't forget that after this at 7 p.m. we're going to be joining Temple of Hades and asking them questions. So please remember, ask your questions in the chats. We're asking questions to the priesthood, not the gods themselves. So this is all about how it is to work with the deity. So without further ado, let me introduce these beautiful vessels of Hekate. We have Lady Belladonna Laveau, our wonderful archpriestess who held Hekate many moons ago. And then we have, I think it was like 2013. So it was my first year is when you held Hekate when I was on cast. And then we have Lola Stardust, who held Hekate last year. Our votary of Hekate, the Temple of Hekate, is our very own Mary Malinsky. She will be joining us in a half hour. And we're also going to be joined by Isadora, who is holding Hekate this year. Ooh, she's getting ready to come in, and she'll join us as soon as she is done. So, without further ado, let's just go ahead and ask our questions.
I will say that Hekate is never late. She always arrives exactly when she means to.
That is absolutely true. It is true. So, to get started, what was the first thing that you were excited to work with Hekate on? And then what did you end up focusing more on? Like when you got the role of Hekate, what did you think was going to happen versus what happened? Go ahead, Ella.
You want me to go first? Well, I thought that I was going to feel all powerful and slightly aggressive. And I was slightly aggressive. Dusty got me a Larimar to soften my personality when I wasn't being invoked. Because, you know, I'm a lot. I don't know if y'all know, but I'm a lot. But one of the things that happened to me was it was the first year, my very first year I was Hekate, and I was also the Ferd and the ritual director. So it was a lot, you know, for my first year at Spring Mysteries and holding a casserole and running the mysteries and all of that. And, you know, the church was in a bit of a state with the transition. And so there was a lot of feelings. And so I kept finding myself just wanting to go to bed. And one of the other priestesses of Hekate came to see me in my room. And I'm like, I just want to lay in the bed. And she said, yeah, this is what she does. She just lays in the bed all the time. She doesn't want to be out there with everybody. And I did not realize, now my Hekate is veiled from head to toe. She has something on her head. And she is just covered like widow's weeds. Like she's covered in black all the time. I don't really see her face. Same thing with Persephone, only red. And I did not realize that she did not like her face in the sunlight. When she was in the underworld, she didn't need the veil. But when she was not in the underworld, she had to wear the veil. And that was even when I wasn't in costume. She's like, I can't go out in the sun. So that was unexpected. But I love her quiet energy. She doesn't have to yell because all she has to do is gesture and people are like, let me go do it. And the kneeling, Lola, when you were holding Hekate in Second Life, when I was Hekate in Second Life, we have these avatars in Second Life that are invoked all the time, and she's super powerful. But one of the things is that she wanted everybody to kneel, and I thought that was weird. Like, I didn't expect that. But then I came up when I was not invoked a few years later. Lola was doing the exact same ritual. She was Hekate on her throne. And I came up and I immediately wanted to go to my knees. And then I looked around and everybody else was on their knees too. And I was like, oh, this is a thing. This is a real thing. And it's the thing I love about vessels holding different roles is that the person steps back and you can see the commonalities that everybody expresses. So that's my answer.
Thank you, Bella. What about you, Lola?
Expectations versus what happened. It was, well, of course, I've been working with Hekate for like 10 years at that point. So I thought I knew, there's Mary. I thought I knew her pretty darn well, you know? So I thought, well, I'm going to go into this and I'm just going to be like, yeah, I'm Hekate. I know this. What happened was this was my first time on cast. We were in the heaviest part of pandemic. My dad was dying in the hospital. So there was all this stuff going on. And what ended up happening was she became, to me, she was so, oh my gosh, she was so quiet. Like what Bella said, there was this quiet, but strength and like very compassionate, very motherly, very loving. I got to, and again, I'm getting the goosebumps. I got to witness so much love from her. And there was a lot of sadness, and I felt very disconnected from everyone. And I did not know if it was because it was my first time and I was on the computer, so I didn't get to see everyone, or if that, or Hekate likes to distance herself. She likes to be in her cave. She likes to hide out, like Bella said, just wants to sleep. I didn't want to see anybody. I was really shocked at that. And I just was like, what is going on? So yeah, expectation versus reality was completely different. Expectation was, I got this. I know what she does. Reality was, I don't want to see anyone. I don't want to talk to anyone. But when you need me, I will be there, and I will be very compassionate and loving.
Thank you, Lola. And we have our wonderful votary, Lady Mary Malinsky, who has joined us. Hi, we are talking about, as you heard, what we expected when we first got the role of demeanor versus what we experienced, because it is a very different kind of experience. Oh, and what?
Hekate.
I mean, Hekate.
Not
Oh. Oh my
gosh, what I expected versus what I experienced. I guess I kind of expected, you know, dark and magic and you know, revealing a lot of mystery, or because I'd worked with Ereshkigal before, so I kind of expected that like tough love kind of, I'm gonna push you to do what you need to do. And yeah, I got a fair bit of like, I have been there and done that and seen this. Okay, here we go again. Right? Like, just frustration with kind of some of the same cycles that play out in the world. And it's like, there is nothing I have not seen. There is nothing I have not experienced. There is nothing I don't know about. And you are not going to surprise me with anything. The one thing that did surprise me was for me, she very much wanted the third eye covered. Like, the year I was Hekate, I had bangs for the first time since like high school, because she wanted that third eye covered. And so when I made my costume for Spring Mysteries as well, I made sure that I had something that would cover this area, because it's just, it's too much all at once, or like just needing that extra shielding, right? So that was something that surprised me.
Awesome.
But I think what Lola said too is, there was a lot of compassion, as much as there was the, okay, your turn. Here's the things we're going to do. It was maybe resignation and not irritation, if that makes sense. Like, okay, your turn. Here we go.
Sounds like one of those things where as priestesses we go, oh, I don't want to do this. Okay, let's do it. And then we see everyone have a great time and have a great experience. And then our energies are lifted up and we're like, oh, okay, never mind. That's fine.
Yeah.
Yep. Thank you. We have our first question from the audience. We have, where'd it go? There it is. Chris asks, I'm curious what is with the keys in the background. Mary, would you like to talk about the keys in the background?
Well, keys are one of Hekate's main symbols because she is the keeper of the keys of wisdom. So I think all of us as priestesses have a collection of skeleton keys. I know I have a bunch on a ring, and I have one tied on my cords, and I have, several different ones on my altar, because it is that symbol of knowledge and wisdom. It's unlocking the doors to the mysteries of life.
You did keys. That's right. Keys are important. Bella has something she wants to add, though.
Well, it's definitely all of the things that Mary said. Keys represent being able to. Hekate sits on all worlds. Part of the story is that she conquers all realms, and we go into how that happens in the mysteries, and you've got to pay attention and put the pieces together. But she sits on all realms, and so she has the keys to all doors. And then there's some kind of there's also some lore that the person with the keys is the person who's in charge, like the keeper of the keys is the wife, and stuff like that. So the person who has the keys has control. And so the keys are very important because she's the all-mother. Everybody bows to Hekate. She's the patroness of the ATC because all things are known by Hekate. There are places where nobody can go but Hekate. And there are rituals that we do where the only time you can get there is in a certain time of the year because that's when Hekate will let you in. And I've tried to do the rituals in other times and you can't get there. So that is part of it. Yes, thank you.
Of course. Lola, did you have anything you wanted to add about the keys, or did those two cover it?
Just I have a huge collection of skeleton keys all over my house as well, and I find them at vintage antique stores, vintage places. So it's kind of fun because sometimes they have a bunch of them at the antique stores, and sometimes they have like one. But I somehow always manage to find one. I've had women look for them, and I'm like, no, it's okay. She's like, no, I know there's a key somewhere. I'm like, no. And every time she's like, I found it. And I'm like, I was supposed to have that key. So yeah, keys everywhere. Yeah.
I'm going to go ahead and insert this key into this slot right here and open up Izzy. I would like to introduce Isadora Laveau, our vessel for this year's Spring Mysteries of Hekate. Thank you for joining us, arriving precisely when she means to, per usual. Izzy, did you have anything you wanted to add about keys that they haven't added or said?
No, I think they got it. They totally got it. There's also the realization for me that in a sense that she's turning you yourself into a key, that you are the key to this solution, and you are the key to just life around you, really.
Yes, good. Thank you, Izzy.
Interesting. That's
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. So another fun, quick question. Oh yeah, we have another question from someone else in here. Where'd it go? There it go. Oh, okay. So this one might be a question for Bella. How did Hekate sickle come into being?
Okay, this is a good one. So it used to be way back in the day that Hekate sickle was supposed to be graders. You went to lessers in the spring and you went to graders in the fall. They found out that that didn't really work. And so they then changed it to be a Samhain festival and make it Celtic, because we did Greek in the spring and we did Celtic in the fall. And that's how it was for many years. But we kind of thought that was weird because Hekate is, Greek. But she's not Celtic. They were like, why aren't you calling it Caridwen's Cauldron or something like that? And I'm not really Celtic either. And I don't like to put out things that I don't know much about. And the gods have me so focused on the Eleusinian mysteries, it's hard to get my head out of that. So it seems, I asked her what she wanted us to do with that festival, because people were tired of doing Celtic. They told us, they were like, we're sick of this. We want to do something else. So I asked her what she wanted. And she said that she's the faces of all deities. And so we need to allow her to introduce us to different mysteries every year. And so that's what we do. We sit and wait, and we let her open different doorways. Last year it was Avalon. We've had Fortuna come in, who also claims to be an all-mother, but the maiden aspect. And Fortuna, Isis, and Hekate have this thing that they do together where they're worshipped everywhere. So Fortuna likes to show up sometimes. And so Hekate's sickle was meant to be, it's the end of it. It's the end of the year. But it's also that she sharpens you, and she uses that as a tool of transformation to take you across the veil and to teach you other mysteries. And you're not supposed to really be afraid of the sickle. The sickle is a tool of removing that which is no longer useful, so that your true beauty can come forth.
And who better than a dark mother to lead the festival at the dark time of the year?
She wouldn't have it any other way. So that is the history behind Hekate Sickle Festival and why we honor Hekate in all her forms. That was awesome. I'm glad we got to talk about that. Thank you for asking that question. Do you feel that Hekate is shielding her priestesses from the burden of her full knowledge? Referring to Mary saying she has to cover up this, Bella saying that, she had to wear a veil outside. Let's see. Lola, would you like to start by, or Mary, you want to start answering this question?
I mean, probably yes, because she has been around for so long and involved in so many things. As Bella said, she is a goddess that can traverse between all the worlds. And so there's so much that she is aware of at all the time that I think for us mere mortals, it would be overwhelming if we were exposed to all of that, right? Because as priestesses, we still have lives and families and things that we have to do beyond just the mysteries. And so, yeah, I do think that she does shield us from the extent of her knowledge, because it would be overwhelming. We'd see a lot more psychotic breaks if suddenly we had all of that shoved into our heads.
Absolutely. Before we jump into other answers, I'd like to introduce another new vessel, Simone Mack. Hi. We're so happy to have you. Simone held Hekate in 2020, the year of the great migration to online. Did a fabulous job. Thank you for joining us, Simone. We're so glad you're here.
Thank you, Brenna.
All right. Let's see. Did anyone else have something to add to feeling like Hekate is shielding priestesses from knowing the full burden of their knowledge?
I don't have anything to add other than Mary is absolutely 1000% correct. With what she does provide, I think that's enough. She gives you just enough to deal with and have enough fun with that you do want more, but she knows you can't take it right then. So yeah, Mary is 1000% correct.
Awesome. Okay. Oh, I love this question. Can you talk about her other symbols and icons? Hound, torch, etc. I'm enjoying hearing about you share about her. Thank you for your service, says Ryan. Thank you, Ryan. Let's see. Who would like to talk about a symbol or a new icon that we haven't we've already touched on keys. Simone, you want to talk about Hound?
I was just gonna say, actually. So I actually have a black dog, and it was really magical to be able to connect with that aspect of Hekate, being her priestess. And hounds and her have such a vast story. There's so many myths that involve them together. And I think the one that really caught to me was that the leader of her pack was actually a Trojan queen that she saved from death at the fall of Troy, and transformed her into the first hellhound in her pack. And then that started this whole journey for having many hounds. And it's incredible to think of, like, as witches in death and passing, being rescued and saved and transformed into a messenger, a keeper, a guardian, a protector, and a guide to a goddess that you revere. So I found that to be so powerful. And Hekate brought me my black hound way back in the day when I first got my midnight. And it's just amazing, the relationship that you have between an animal and, as a priestess, being able to lean into that and lean into our animal bodies, the way that our physical forms carry us, teach us, protect us, guide us. And as a witch, I think it's so easy to be caught in the astral realm, in the stars, in the other world, in the in-between, and having a physical familiar, especially a dog that's like really large and grounding for you, reminds us to be here in earth. Walk your dog, take care of yourself. And it really connects between that higher realm and the lower realm. That's one thing that I learned, having a hound and working with her mysteries of the hound.
Thank you so much for sharing, Simone. Does someone else want to talk about another symbol? Lola.
Spiders. Oh my gosh. So I have a weird relationship with spiders. They have been part of my life since I was a kid. I don't know what it is about them, but I was always fascinated with them. I read somewhere that I get bit by spiders all the time. I wake up with spider bites all the time, all over my hands, all the time. And I thought everyone did. I thought everyone gets bit by spiders all the time. Apparently they don't, because my mom and dad and my parents' house were like, "What is going on? Why do you have all these spider bites?" And no one else did. My siblings, same in my house here. I get bit by them all the time. My husband doesn't, my kids don't. And so I just like, what is this connection to spiders? And she, I think for me personally, I think my whole life she's been marking me. I really do. I feel like she just found me and was marking me. And when I kind of came to this realization, I felt very protective of spiders. I love them. I am not afraid of them anymore. I used to be really afraid of them. We do not kill spiders in our house. we set them free, or we leave them in our house because they get rid of all the others. So spiders are amazing. And I highly suggest, if you are afraid of spiders, to just do some research on them, because they're just awesome. And I think, I'm not sure, I assumed the connection of the spider was the web and the weaving and, how we're all connected. But I also like to say, because, in later times, Hekate became associated with, the scary stuff. So I also kind of do that, like bats and spiders and all the gothy stuff that I absolutely love. Wearing my bat dress right now. So yeah, I love spiders. And that's very much her. If someone wants to go into more why, I'm just assuming it's the web stuff. If there's other knowledge, please share.
Lady Bella.
Well, I got to be Spider for Sickle one year when Hekate had us bring the animal totems, and it was so exciting, because what we learned is that it's the storytelling, and there's so much power in the story that you tell. When Brenna got the storytelling magic, she was like, oh man, I can change everything with my story. And you really can. It's all about the stories you tell. Spider weaves your stories into the universe. And like, we have Constellation, they just made a constellation out of David Bowie, right? The constellations tell the stories in the sky. In Second Life, I learned so much magic from Second Life, you guys. But a lot of it was about Hekate. we put a spider web on a dome prim, because we were having Anansi do a thing, and we thought it'd be cool to have a spider web covering the circle, because he's a spider god. And we made it really big, and when it got really big, it looked like stars in the sky. It didn't look like a spider web anymore. And I was like, oh my God, right? But also, when we first moved here, when we first came here, the house was so spider prone that Pete had all these little things that plugged into the wall that were supposed to run the spiders off, right? Britta's laughing because she knows the story. And it would drive me crazy. I was like, we've got to unplug this thing. What is this? And Pete would say, humans can't hear that noise. And I went, okay, well, it goes click, click, click. And so I was like, why are you trying to run spiders out of Hekate's house? Come on, yo. And so I pulled them all out of the wall and chucked them. And up in the Hekate shrine, there's this hidden door. And every once in a while, we think we're going to go in there and clean it out. And whoever opens the door finds all the spiders and closes it back real quick. So we have an abundance of spiders up here at the Mother Church, but they never bother me. I've never been bitten that I know of by a spider in the middle of the night. Lola, that's you, baby. But I might do a little bit of biting. I don't know.
Can confirm I will never look in that creepy room in the Hekate shrine. I refuse. Hekate's worked her magic on me with spiders too, but not that. I'm not that good. All right. Okay, so this is a good question, Catherine. I'm going to go ahead and answer this real quick, and then Bella can always add if I miss anything out. So she's asking about the priestesses and what called them personally to the goddess. So I want to go over a little bit how priestesses are chosen for these temples. Bella, would you like to cover that real quick?
Absolutely. So when we are assigning roles for Sickle or Spring Mysteries, the directors get together, and the directors are third degrees or esteemed second degrees. And we get together and we prayerfully ask who gets what role. So the priestesses are chosen by Hekate herself. Like, we ask her who she wants, and it comes out and we discuss. We're like, what do you think? What do you think? And we prayerfully do the work. So all the vessels are chosen by the gods. We don't pick them. and people, Simone could probably comment on this. She was like, I want to be this one thing. And we're like, yeah, but this was what you were chosen. And then she was like, that was exactly what I needed. I thought I was wanting this, but I actually wanted this. And it turned out just perfectly. People find that their paths are intertwined and they learn so much from being a vessel. And it's very important that we prayerfully allow the gods to guide us to choose these, or else they wouldn't be so perfect. I say every year, this cast is perfect. How do we keep getting the perfect cast? And it's because it's chosen by deity. So I hope that answers the question.
Certainly. And as our temples have developed and grown over the years, we also look to the temples for help deciding on who will hold that role next year as well. Sometimes it's super obvious to us who this deity is choosing, but sometimes it's not obvious. And so if we have, if the directors say like, wow, I don't really know who Aries is choosing this year, let's go talk to the Votary in the Temple of Aries, see if they have any ideas, because they're in that energy and they know the energy and they see it too. So that's been really cool too, to work with the temples to then bring in the new priesthood up. It's so cool. It's all growing and happening and it's great. Okay. So I hope that answers your question, Catherine. That's a good one. And I want to make sure people know that this is sacred work and the gods choose what we do. So the next question I will be asking y'all is, what kind of blessings would you ask from Hekate for? Here we go. Who would like to start off? Mary would.
I think whenever you are having trouble making a decision, so Hekate is a goddess of crossroads, right? So if you are at a place in your life where I'm like, I don't know what to do next. Do I do this? Do I do that? Do I go over here? What should I do? That is a perfect time to ask for Hekate's guidance, because she, as the goddess of the crossroads, she won't necessarily just tell you which path to take, because she doesn't, some lessons must be learned for oneself. But she will like illuminate with her torch, here's potential, like, here's what might happen if you take this road. Here's what might happen if you take this road. Here's what might happen if you make this choice. And so she will guide you in that way. She won't tell you what to do, but she'll help illuminate for you what these choices might bring about in your life, so that you can make a decision from a place of information and knowledge, rather than, stabbing out in the dark.
I'd love to add that to that as well. Sometimes I've talked to people who are asking Hekate for something because they want a quick, easy fix. And that's not the kind of thing that I would bring to Hekate personally. I see some other priestesses also reacting to this, because she is about teaching you profoundly and deeply, helping you go in there and unwind and see exactly what's making you want that. What do you really want? What is the outcome that's going to be best for you? Like, the answers to your questions and your requests of her are almost never simple or straightforward or what you expect. And so I would not go to her with those things that you do want, something that's fast, easy, smooth, and simple. But finding the profound unwinding of who you are and the progression of your soul, like, yes, so much yes. Especially if you're willing to face your shadow and face the real barriers that you put in your way and that the world puts in your way in order to get success.
Absolutely. Thank you for sharing, Simone. What about Izzy? Do you have anything you wanted to add to that you've experienced with Hekate? Blessings that she might enjoy giving out to people?
Well, she doesn't always enlighten me as to what she's going to be doing in the next. But I can say from my experience with her this year that there were aspects of my shadows that I have that I really didn't want to deal with. I really didn't. I just wanted to close the door and call it good. All done. But the thing is that door, I kept coming up to the door. I kept coming up to the door. And the only way to actually be done with that is to go through the door. Go through the door and really embrace that aspect of yourself with her there. She's guiding you, and you'll come out on the other side and never have to deal with that door again. But man, the trip may be long. The trip may be short. Depends on who you are when you go through the door. And it's not always fun, but it is well worth it.
Absolutely. Let us see. So we have about 15 minutes. I would like to go ahead and start, since there's many of us and Hekate has much wisdoms. I would like to go ahead and start the question of, do you have a wisdom that you want to pass on to people that Hekate gave to you? Yes, Lola.
For me, because of what was going on in my life during my time holding her, I really worked with her very intensely with my dad possibly dying. He actually is fine now. He survived all the stuff amazingly. We had doctors calling us saying end of life arrangements. Like it was on, like he was going to die. But one of the very strong messages and something that I can pass on is she was there with me, and she made me understand that no matter what happens, and it might be the most terrible loss that you will go through. Sorry, very emotional. Woo, woo, go. Okay. That it take comfort that she is with your loved ones on this realm and the next. And that is huge. Thank you. I'm going to go cry now.
No, thank you, Lola. That is huge. I just ministered a funeral this week myself, and Hekate was there the whole way. So she is all about making sure that you know your people are safe. Definitely. Thank you for sharing that, Lola. Does anyone else have some Hekate wisdom they'd like to share? Mary?
That I think the biggest one for me is that there is a lot to be found in the darkness, and to not be afraid of the darkness. That some of our most profound lessons are kind of like what Izzy was saying about doing that shadow work and looking at those parts of yourself that are uncomfortable or maybe are not your favorite things about yourself. And yet there's a lot of wisdom and learning. And when we can embrace being in the dark, right, that's where we can really bloom and grow and come into our power.
Absolutely. Thank you, Mary. Anyone else have Hekate wisdom? Bella?
Well, it's very much about the story. You can change your story by changing your perspective. You can tell everybody that you were abused and mistreated and neglected, and your people don't treat you good now, and that is the world that you live in. Like that is the world that you live in. Or you can decide that your parents did the best they could, even though they struggled, and they loved you as best as they could, even though they didn't have any parenting classes, and that all of the people around you are just trying really hard to make the best of the situation in the world that we live in. And you can give people grace for their shortcomings and look at the positive. And then that is the world that you live in. And it doesn't matter to anybody else what's going on in your head. That's where you're at. They can't change that for you. They can't tell a different story for you. You have to decide what part of the story that you're going to focus on. And that is the world that you live in. And there's so many of us that just see the negatives over and over and over. They can have a fantastic day, but this one person cut them off and they're going to bitch about that all day long. Excuse my language. That's going to be their focus. They don't notice that somebody gave them a free coffee. They don't notice that, you know, they got somebody let them in line, or they found $20 on the ground, or all of the other, their son came in and hugged them, but they're just so focused on this one slight that that's their day. And you get to choose who you are and what you focus on. There are so many options, and it's totally up to you. It's your story. Make it a good one.
That's good stuff. Simone, did you have anything you wanted to bring up? Yeah, I hear you.
Yes, thank you. For me, one of the lessons that she gave me that I would like to pass on is don't be afraid to be scary. Don't be afraid to be big, to be bold. Sometimes that means making endings or changing up everything or being ferocious or fierce in the face of danger or the face of need. But especially I think as women, sometimes it's hard for us to really embody a really scary, intense, powerful energy, and letting her take you there in safe ways can be really transformative and powerful.
Thank you, Simone. I know Izzy shared with us a little bit what she has learned from Hekate. Did you have anything you wanted to add?
I like to sleep a lot. And it's because you're more open to receiving her information when you're sleeping. I didn't realize that until she had me sleeping a lot more, and I'm going, wait a minute, this is not good. I spent all my time with you, so I had to learn how to delegate that. But yeah, your mind is very open, and you can actually feel your mind while you're sleeping. So
Fun.
and my relatives who have passed on are still here and love me very much. They won't leave me alone.
Is that a big one with Hekate? You see, well, dead people, for lack of a better term. Yep.
Yes. I mostly hear dead people, but it's not really a hear, it's a feeling.
Fair.
And part of that, it's the stuff that you don't want to let go. And so that's also behind closed doors and you don't want to open it. And then when the door gets opened anyway, it's okay, I have to deal with this now. And then, yeah, so there's lessons that can be had in that too. And just, you can communicate with your loved ones. Even if you can't hear them, they can hear you. And they are right there cheering you on, whether you can sense them or not.
Thank you, Isadora. Okay, so this is a fun question that I would love for one of you to answer. For those of us just starting on this journey and thinking how they are sensing Hekate's call, how do you know it's her? Does she work with other deities well?
Well, they're all.
You think it's her? Oh, sorry, Bella.
They're all Hekate. Go ahead, Mary.
I I was gonna say, if you think Hekate is calling you, she's calling you. She's just waiting for you to wake up. Come on. And yes, she does work with other deities very, very well because she is all of them, as Ella said.
Does anyone have anything else to add to that? Yeah.
I found in general, this applies to other situations, but if you feel like she's calling you and then you call back to her using 3 names and there's a resonant match, I find that to be a nice confirmation. Versus if there's like a reaction of like, oh no, then maybe there's some clarifying that you want to do.
Good suggestion. Thank you, Simone. Lola, do you have something to add? No? Okay. Awesome. Thank you for answering that. I knew the answer was I'm all of them. Because that's what she says. Oh, that's it. I love that comment, Ryan. This reminds me of Alice going through the doorknob as the key. Oh, and the mushrooms. Mind blown. He does ask, where else in media do you think of Hekate? Can you guys think of anywhere else where Hekate's in media? Off the top of your head, anyway?
I watched that. Was it Once Upon a Time show?
Yes.
And Regina, like the Dark Queen, who has this delightful character development story. I definitely saw Hekate in her, although it was more humanized. But anytime I see a really elegant Dark Queen, Dark woman that is like really empowered, I feel her vibes.
Yeah, definitely. Okay.
I mean, there's a fascination with witches, in the media right now. So you could argue that any of those witch stories are to do with her. I mean, they even had Hekate in a kind of strange form in Sabrina.
I think Simone's face said that all.
Kind of strange.
Well, that season came out the year I was holding Hekate, and that like the end of that season where they call her, I just the tears. But then
that was powerful.
Oh my gosh, so
Yeah,
intensely so.
I remember they called Hekate in what was it with the 2 sisters and they killed the bad guy.
Practical magic.
That's the one. Practical magic.
Yep.
Mighty Hekate, make it right. And I was like, that's not her name. I know, twitching the eye.
Yeah, if you want the real Greek pronunciation, it is Hekate. we generally in this group say Hekate.
They also on Northern Exposure they called her Hekate.
She was at Northern Exposure?
Yeah, it was the one they told the story about how Sicily came into being. And it was created by 2 a lesbian couple who they were pagan and they worshipped Hekate and Persephone.
Hekate and Persephone?
Persephone and her brother Telephone.
And xylophone. No, I don't know. I'm just.
Oh my God, Alicia just reminded us of Sailor Moon Pluto. Sailor Pluto is Hekate. Thank you. I cannot believe I didn't say that. Good Lord. Yeah, the Sandman has lots of Hekate vibes. We did a Sandman sickle, not this last year, but the year before. It was based off of the characters in Neil Gaiman's book. It was awesome. I got to be deaf. Okay, so.
You were amazing.
It was so fun. Okay, so we have just 2 minutes left. Is there any last messages that Hekate is like, guys, tell them this? Or something that y'all are like, tell them this?
Come get spring mysteries. I have to tell you.
That's right.
She doesn't like wine.
What does she like?
Whiskey. Like
Oh.
I am a wine drinker. I don't know if you guys know that. But when I held her and whenever I invoke her, wine tastes terrible. But put whiskey in front of her and she loves whiskey. That was my experience with her.
Awesome. Well, this has been nothing but fun. So I would like to thank our beautiful priestesses of Hekate for being here tonight. It was so enjoyable. You can find out more about the Temple of Hekate at our website, www.atcwicca.org/temple-of-Hekate with a K, Hekate, and spelled the same way on Facebook, Temple of Hekate. You can find out more there too. Make sure you register for Spring Mysteries. And if you're able, wait a few more minutes and we're going to go talk to the Temple of Hades. So thank you again, Temple of Hekate. We love you. Thank you for being here. And to all those watching, we'll be right back.